All cultures appropriate. What's interesting isn't cultural appropriation, but culture. It's evolution. The reason cultures don't leap directly from one invention to the next, but instead rely on cherry picking the best bits of the previous use, is that communication can be difficult. It's hard to describe your own mental mode to others. As a result, cultural evolution takes place through a process of successive approximation. Each new idea has to be compatible with the one that came before it. It can preserve order by extending and refining the existing way of doing things, or it can introduce novelty by making the steps in some parts of life more efficient than what came before it. If a new idea improves efficiency but is not compatible with the existing culture, then the existing people won't adopt it. So the idea that promotes efficiency passes from generation to generation faster than any other ideas. The funny thing about today's topic is that I had the same discussions with the fairy, the fays, and the other mythics, but they were really out for blood this time. But I was there to intervene just in the nick of time. There also seems to be a lot of tension in the human world as well. I know that I'm a bit late to the party, but trust, I feel like now is the perfect time to engage. It seems that a lot of humans and some regrettably, some mythics are also struggling to understand the difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. Well, I don't blame them. It can really be a confusing topic, but I too felt a little bit confused as I was doing the research for this video, but I found my way and I'm willing to help you guys find yours. What is appropriation? What is its history? Is it really that wrong? Well, how about we answer these questions? Hello, everybody. It's your favorite mythic, and how are you all doing today? Welcome to all my first timers, and welcome back to my returning humans and mythics. I am Jasmine, and welcome to part 2 of last week's video on cultural assimilation. So, if you have not watched that one yet, please go and watch it first, and then you can come back to this one. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel to help me grow this forest, and please be sure to share the video, and don't forget to hit that like button because that truly helps, and also to hit that post notification bell so you never miss an update from me. And please be sure to comment down below what more you'd like to hear me discuss. So for this video today, I am going to quickly give you 2 definitions of what cultural appropriation is, just so we can get a clearer picture of the nuances that surround today's topic. Wikipedia defines cultural appropriation as the inappropriate or unacknowledged adaptation of an element or elements of one culture or identity by members of another culture or identity. This can be controversial when members of a dominant group appropriate from minority cultures. The Cambridge Dictionary defines it as the act of taking or using things from a culture that does not belong to one's own, especially without showing that you understand and respect this culture. This is the definition that we are going to be focusing our attention on. 2 things before we go any further with this video. Firstly, there will be an article in the description with the rest of my resources that I think that you guys should really go read if you want to have a better understanding of today's topic, because I always find it better to have a second opinion or a second perspective on certain topics. It was written by Ellen Koenig and published in the Very Well Mind blog. Lastly, if you'd like to have a good laugh, please go and read the entries in the Urban Dictionary on this very topic, because they got me dead on the floor. Like, cultural appropriate is the one that cultural apartheid, sorry, is the one that did it for me. Like, Damn. Cultural appropriation. There's a lot of history. We've been doing this since the beginning of time and we're still doing it today. The concept of cultural appropriation dates back to at least the 1920s when anthropologist Ruth Benedict published a book, Patterns of Culture, in which describes a process by which cultures would borrow elements from other cultures to develop their own distinct ways of life. She called this process cultural borrowing, and she describes it as a way of people to expand their horizons and access new ideas. But while Benedict was talking about how cultures borrowed from each other and that could be beneficial, other scholars were saying the opposite, that cultural borrowing was harmful and even racist. They argued that cultures should remain distinct from one another because they weren't compatible with one another. That argument continued throughout the 20th century. In fact, it reached its peak in the 1960s when the Black Power movements like the Black Panther Party for Self Defense and the Black Panther Party for Community Action. In those groups' literature, they used phrases like black is beautiful and black is strong to express the idea that their communities needed to protect themselves from assimilating into white culture, which was seen as an attempt by the earliest forms of cultural appropriation in media and pop culture can be dated back to the blackface or blackface minstrelsy shows that were performed all across Europe, mostly in England, also in Canada and America during the 18th and 19th centuries. If you watch the Othello movie, you would most definitely know what I am talking about. These shows were used to create and further stereotypes about black people and other people of culture, at the same time creating a profit for those who acted in them. The characters that were created or inspired the creations included the Mammy, the Uncle Tom, Buck, Jezebel, and the all too familiar Jim Crow. And yes, that includes the one from Dumbo as well. An article written by Ken Pidgett does an amazing job of perfectly outlining this in great detail. So, if you'd like to read more on this topic, I would suggest you go and read it. If you're not much of a reader, I will link a few videos that I watched in preparation for today's essay done by Khadija Mbowe, where she explains it in better detail and has some amazing resources as well. The main problem that I personally can identify with cultural appropriation is that the people who engage in it either are unseasoned, misinformed, or just downright ignorant. Kardashian Jenner clan, I am looking at you, but I will get into them in a hot minute. As I was saying, to understand the sentimentality behind the elements that they are appropriating. Most people, however, fail to do their research or even ask people to whom the cultural elements belong to educate them and go as far as to capitalize on them. Cultural appropriation can be problematic for so many reasons, but here are a few examples. It can lead to erasure of people's identities and cultures by portraying them as exotic or uncool. It can cause people to be seen as objects rather than subjects. It can also cause people to lose their sense of ownership over the things they created because they're viewed as being owned by a different group. The main reason that I'm not going into detail about this problem of cultural appropriation is because that I feel as though I've already expressed the urgency of the situation and I feel like I'm being redundant about it. More resources will be linked in the description, and I am also more than happy to explain and help where I am needed to down in the description below. So please feel free to ask questions. I wholeheartedly love and appreciate Miss Miley Cyrus. She has made some of the best moments for me and my fellow mythics back in the day. She is an icon and had some otherwise not so iconic moments back in the early 2010s. Miley received some fiery backlash after her 2013 VMA Awards performance after fans and some critics and celebrities alike were stunned at what they had seen on stage. Yet again, she got not so sunshine criticism after she walked onto the 2015 VMA Awards red carpet having installed some dreadlocks. An article done by Taylor Bryant on Refinery 29 reads: Another moment that got people talking and fuming was her appearance on the red carpet sporting dreadlock extensions, which many deemed as cultural appropriation. Cyrus was called out after her 2013 VMAs for twerking and using black women and their bodies as props in her performance, and something that she hasn't learned to change her ways. As actress Amandla Steinberg so eloquently put it, appropriation occurs when a style leads to racist generalizations or stereotypes where it originated, but it is deemed as high fashion, cool, and funny when the privileged take it for themselves. Case in point, when actress Zendaya wore the same style, she was infamously described as smelling like petroleum oil and weed on the red carpet, but when Miley and in the past on Kylie Jenner dreadlocks were deemed as amazing and edgy. I have no idea what was going on with her back then, but it seems like she has learned from that experience and has long apologized for her outlandish behavior and otherwise questionable choices. Like, honestly, thank you, Miley. Back in 2019, Miss Kimberly Kardashian West was in the midst of yet another controversy after she tried to copyright and commercialize the word kimono as she had deemed it for her shapewear brand. Many of her supporters thought it was a smart play on her first name, whereas others felt differently, and this is what she said in an interview with US Today. My fans and followers are a huge inspiration to me, and I will always listen to their feedback and opinions, and I am grateful that they have shared their ideas for a brand name, as she wrote Monday. Kardashian West told SCW magazine back in July of 2019 that her intentions to play off her first name with kimono were innocent and that she had no anticipation of the backlash. A kimono is a term that is used to describe a traditional Japanese garment and the national dress of Japan. So, some of the outcries that Kim had faced was that if she wanted to have that play on her first name, she should have spelt it in the way that it was meant to be received. Kim, oh no. But I could see the confusion and glad that she had changed the name. Back in 2018, Back in 2018, Ms. Kim Kardashian West was once again faced with criticism of cultural appropriation after she showed up to the MTV Movie and TV Awards wearing a style of protective braids called the Funani braids, and the controversy came not so long after she was under backlash in January for wearing her hairstyle that in a style that she called the Bo Derek braids. An article was written by Tana Payne in Glamour and says, naturally, a myriad people on the internet and social media spoke out about Kim Kardashian West's hairstyle choices, with many people expressing frustration over the fact that the protective hairstyles like these are deemed cool and a Kardashian wears them, but unkempt or unprofessional when a black woman wears them. As one Twitter user wrote in all caps, for the thousandth time, what we're mad is that when Kim or any other white woman, for that matter, wears styles such as these, they are praised all the way around for it. But when a black woman does it, they are told that it's unprofessional and they really looked unkept, or that we are a distraction, not to mention the fact that they don't even consider giving credit where credit is due. It's honestly a triple slap to the face. That's why we are mad about nothing anymore, nothing less. I personally have my own reservations, biases, and opinions when it comes to this family. But practicing what I preach, I have to award them a slice of the cake because they have made an empire for themselves with a little help from daddy's money, and to ensure that their children are well off. Yes, I may not agree with how they did it and how they got where they are today, but I have to give credit where credit is due. I just wish a certain family would learn the same lesson. I hope that you now have a clearer idea of what cultural appropriation is and why it is so wrong and how it affects society as a whole. In next week's video, we are going to be discussing cultural appreciation so that we can further understand the nuances that exist when we're talking about assimilation, appropriation, and appreciation. So thank you for watching today's video, and I hope that you have learned a lot. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload from me. And please be sure to hit that like button and comment down below what more you guys would like to hear me talk about. And also, if you have any questions or reservations, I'm more than glad to address them down in the comments. So that's it for this week. I will see you in the next one. Bye.